And we are live right here on Destination PW following AEW Rampage and Smackdown. What an incredible night of pro wrestling. Yeah, not just sports entertainment, guys. WWE really had some awesome stuff today. So we're going to run through the card for both Smackdown and Rampage. And what we're going to do on Friday nights, even though Rampage is a 1-hour show and Smackdown is a 2-hour show, I essentially think it's going to be a better idea just to kind of put them against each other, right? Who doesn't like a little bit of competition? Nonetheless, I think it would be really, really fun to just talk about both shows. And, you know, as you guys saw with the last show, we're kind of doing like a trial and error. We're going to see what works the best. I don't know, you know, as far as all that stuff goes. But live streaming is fun. I think one thing that we're going to try to do, and let me know in the chat if this is cool with you guys, you know, between 2 hours of watching SmackDown and an hour of Rampage, and then like Monday Night Raw is, you know, 3 hours long and NXT is 2 hours long. Instead of maybe doing post shows, what if we did a watch along? And then especially for the guys that are in the Discord server, you know, we can include you guys in the watch along. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Let me know in the live chat. Now, with that being said, yeah, it was an exciting night for SmackDown. It was an exciting night for Rampage. So I'm really, really excited to talk about it. I got my notes pulled up. Hopefully you guys are all having a wonderful Friday night. Now that I'm full-time with YouTube, it was a little bit interesting not going out tonight. So whether we get 1 million viewers or 30 viewers or whatever it may be, who really knows? We're going to see what happens. But yeah, this is like my job now, so it's pretty cool. Welcome everybody. Welcome to all of the DPW members, and you guys are just so incredible. You guys already know this, but it's because of you guys that I decided to quit my job and go full time. So I'm just really excited to go live. With that being said, I want to play some background music just because it just kind of freshens up the mood. So we're gonna turn this up a little bit. And let me know if everything sounds good. Hopefully it's not like too crazy. But nonetheless, we are live here on Destination PW. Guys, welcome to the channel. If you guys want to support the channel, and Jamie Palmer says it's not like your job, Oos. It is your job now. I know. Really crazy. Speaking of which, if you guys want to support the channel, super chats and donations, however you guys want to do it. If you guys want to support the channel, now that this is actually my full-time job, I know I don't have 1 million viewers, but if you guys want to support the channel, feel free to do so. There's a link in the description. It's going to take you to the Streamlabs OBS donation page, or you guys could drop a super chat, whatever it is, guys. It's definitely appreciated. I know Jamie Palmer had talked about giving away a CM Punk t-shirt once we hit 30,000 subscribers. So if you guys aren't a subscriber just yet, you might want to click that button. Pretty exciting night, guys. So Smackdown. I don't even know where to begin with Smackdown just because it was so freaking good. Kind of shocking too, to be honest. Right? Like, did anybody expect Smackdown? Did anybody expect Smackdown to be this good? I don't know if I expected Smackdown to be this good, but Smackdown was live from Madison Square Garden. And, man, that crowd was something incredible. Let's just throw it out there. That crowd was really, really good. Smackdown opens up with Paul Heyman in the ring, Usos, the Bloodline, Roman Reigns. And essentially what comes out of this, within the first 10 minutes of SmackDown, Brock Lesnar comes out to a massive pop from the crowd. Before I continue, guys, by the way, I know I'm talking about both SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Just something I want you guys to keep in mind. I absolutely loved both shows tonight. So just like a spoiler alert, if you guys see that I'm like overly praising WWE and overly praising AEW Rampage, it's because tonight was a good night for wrestling. So nonetheless, SmackDown opens up with Paul Heyman, the Bloodline, Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar comes out, gets a massive pop. And essentially what happens here is Fox has to actually mute the audio for about 20 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds. And this is because the crowd was chanting "You f***ed up" to Paul Heyman. Now, the reason for that is simply because of the fact that Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar basically asked asked Paul Heyman, hey, like, why didn't you tell Roman Reigns I was at SummerSlam? So now this is where things are getting really intriguing with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, and I kind of have a prediction. We'll talk about that in just a moment. That's actually going to come towards the end of the SmackDown recap, mainly because it has a lot to do. It has a lot to do with Finn Balor as well, which, spoiler alert, things got pretty demonic. So yeah, 30 seconds of "you effed up" chants. Fox had to mute it all. Very cool. The crowd was clearly into it. And essentially what this did right here was just create a new dynamic to the whole Bloodline storyline. Paul Heyman is currently in the mix with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. But what I also found to be very interesting here, and I think a lot of people aren't talking about this, Paul Heyman ends up walking out of the ring with Roman Reigns when the Usos are getting their ass kicked by Brock Lesnar. So Paul Heyman ends up walking out with Roman Reigns, and you just don't know where Paul Heyman actually lies in this situation. Where does his loyalty lie? We really don't know. So just something to consider here. The opening to the show was incredible. The crowd was completely into it. Kudos to the crowd at Madison Square Garden, because Dynamite was incredible in Cincinnati. SmackDown was incredible in New York, and Rampage was pre-taped, but that was also in Cincinnati. And Rampage is just a 1-hour pre-taped show. Keep in mind, people have been watching AEW Dynamite and they've been there for a couple hours. You would think that maybe they're tired, but that's actually not what happened. So nonetheless, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline storyline continues to get even further and further every week. We even see a little bit more coming from the end of SmackDown, so we'll get to that in just a little bit. We had a 10-man tag team match. Basically, this was your upper mid-card from SmackDown. So Apollo Crews, you had Commander Aziz, you had, Bugs, and you had all of these great talents. Basically, the baby faces win. But one thing I really want to talk about in this match, because this match was cool, it was fine, it did its thing, right? Big E ends up hitting the big ending to win the match. Awesome. Clearly, WWE is behind Big E Langston. Big E is going to be a top star, and I have a major prediction for him as well. But one thing I found to be really incredible of WWE, the crowd was already on fire. Now, if you guys don't pay attention to basketball, if you're not a basketball fan like I am, something that you guys need to keep in mind is that Sami Zayn coming out wearing a Kevin Knox jersey, Knicks player, he comes out to cut this babyface promo, sort of. And then what ends up happening is he brings out Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young is incredibly hated in New York because of his playoff performance for the Atlanta Hawks just this past season. So he shut up the fans at MSG. It was a really cool thing to have Trae Young come out. He's embracing it like a true heel, which I absolutely loved. Clearly, Trae Young, with NBA in general, a lot of those guys are fans of WWE. Trae Young's a WWE fan. But he came out, he was actually introduced ringside with Sami Zayn and the bad guys, right? Like, he's with the heels, and he gets to a point where I think Rey Mysterio is going for a 619, and he actually interrupts the match. So just really interesting right there. He interrupts the match. He's trying to take off Rey Mysterio's mask. He's like choking him or whatever, and he actually gets ejected from the match. So, like, as a basketball fan, this was cool, but even as a wrestling fan, it was even better because both worlds coming together. Celebrity involvement in pro wrestling could be somewhat iffy. This was perfect. The crowd absolutely hated Trae Young, but they absolutely popped when the ref, basically ejected him from the match. So 10-man tag matches are not my favorite thing in pro wrestling. I don't like it when AEW does like 8-man, 10-man tag matches. But this did everything that it was supposed to. And again, it just felt like a very important match, which was shocking. But it was just a perfect heel move by Sami Zayn. I don't know if anybody else here agrees with me here. I love Sami Zayn as a heel. Obviously, there's contract talks about him, his contract expiring soon and whatnot. If WWE wants to have a really big babyface, I think Sami Zayn can fit that void, especially with Daniel Bryan being gone. So I don't know if that's something that they actually ever want to do, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind. They could do it if they want, but he totally got over as a heel. He's doing some really cool stuff. Immediately after that, we get a contract signing between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. So I absolutely loved this for a couple different reasons. Becky Lynch is like turning heel, essentially. She's cringy as hell. She comes out with a big fur coat, big glasses, like a superstar John Morrison type of character. But what I found to be really interesting in this specific situation was this was a contract signing that didn't end with anybody flipping the table and beating each other up. Bianca Belair she completely got over with the fans to the point where they want to see her beat Becky Lynch. And I think Becky Lynch is kind of like in a weird situation with her character. She's not entirely heel, but she is heel, sort of. Becky Lynch is definitely putting over Bianca Belair. So just like, it's like really cool. The fans are behind Bianca. This is a match that's going to be happening at Extreme Rules. I really don't even know what WWE is going to do here. That's like the crazy thing about this. But as you guys know, here on DPW Dark, my job is to tell you guys what happened and give you guys my opinion. And this right here got me actually more excited about Bianca Belair than ever before. I genuinely think like this right here is a storyline that's going to help Bianca so much more. And that's exciting. That is exciting because I think the women's division on SmackDown could be, it's a great division, but it could be better when you don't have the same 2-3 people on it all the time. Bianca Belair and Becky is a storyline that needs to happen in order for WWE to make more room for the other women. Becky Lynch would definitely, I know that she's like on SmackDown right now. If you guys didn't know, WWE is planning to do the draft early October. I can see Becky actually being moved to Raw, so it wouldn't be a bad idea for Becky Lynch to actually drop the title again to Bianca Belair. I think that would be the right decision. But yeah, it was a peaceful contract signing. So as you guys know, with contract signings, you just never really know what to expect. So just kind of keep that in mind. This was it was actually kind of normal. It was pretty cool. The next thing that we get on SmackDown, guys, and this is where like I absolutely love the Roman Reigns storyline. Edge and Seth Rollins had a like 20-star match. They wrestled for over 30 minutes roughly, and Seth Rollins, man, like the character here is what's really important. So we saw a couple glam slams. We saw, Edge hit a pedigree on Rollins. Like they just kept stealing each other's finishers. Really, really cool thing. Back and forth, tons of action, a lot of high flying, a lot of cool things. I absolutely love this match, but what I really loved was something that I found to be very surprising too, and it's not getting a lot of talk. So Seth Rollins hits the curb stomp on Edge. This is clearly a way to write off Edge from TV for a couple months. Totally fine with it. Totally makes sense. I don't think we need to have Edge on SmackDown every single week. But I love what they did here because Seth Rollins hits his finisher. He hits the stomp, clearly lays out Edge, and he starts to kind of like freak out a little bit that he may have actually ended this guy's career. Like in a weird way, it was kind of like a tease to becoming a babyface. Like he actually had a conscience of what he did. But what I loved even more was, they put Edge on a stretcher, and typically whenever somebody gets stretchered out, the heel always beats their ass and like they just kind of move on. Basically what happens here is Edge is going into the ambulance. Seth Rollins is being asked to do an interview, and they're like, hey, how do you feel, or what do you feel, whatever, and he's like actually acting like a babyface here. And I don't know like how we got there, to be honest, but I'm very intrigued because they said, how do you feel? And he really didn't know how to feel. He's like, I don't know. Like he was like lost for words. It was almost like he felt bad for doing this to Edge. So there's something here that I think like the match was incredible, but what even made this better was what is next for Seth Rollins. And I don't know maybe if Seth Rollins is going to move to Raw. I don't know if they have plans for him to be a babyface. I'm not really sure what they're doing, but I absolutely loved it. And I think Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch being moved to Raw would be really good because I think Raw definitely needs to be shaken up. SmackDown's always been a good show. Tonight clearly proved that they're way better than we even expected. When WWE tries, WWE does really good. So that's the problem. It just seems like they never put in the effort. But ultimately, this match was really, really sick. Again, it was like over 30 minutes and just everything you could imagine. So the next thing that we get is the Usos versus Street Profits, which, man, a sports entertainment company like WWE putting on two really, really, really good matches. The Usos and Street Profits, I mean, it got to the point where like Street Profits pretty much looked like they were winning the match. WWE had pretty much sold us on the idea that Street Profits were going to win, and it got so close to the point where the Usos were actually about to lose until Roman Reigns interfered to save the Usos. Now, as you guys know on this channel, I've mentioned it a couple times, I absolutely hate it. Like, there's nobody that can defend it. I hate when disqualifications happen. I love this. I absolutely loved this. And mainly due to the fact that Roman Reigns got involved, and then Demon Finn Balor comes out and goes face-to-face with Roman Reigns. So here's the thing. WWE's got an interesting situation going on. And if you guys don't like WWE, pay attention to this. WWE has a feud between Roman Reigns and Finn Balor, okay? But then you have Brock Lesnar return. Brock Lesnar wants a match against Roman Reigns. Finn Balor returns as the Demon and has a match set up against Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules. Now, there's a couple ways that this can go, but then we also got to factor in Big E, who has Money in the Bank. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Finn Balor could potentially lose to Roman Reigns, but then he's never lost as the Demon. That doesn't make sense for WWE. AEW is catching on fire right now, so you don't want Finn Balor to eventually have his contract expire and go to AEW. I think WWE is going to either put the belt on Finn Balor, or WWE is going to do something with Finn Balor we've never seen coming. But ultimately at Extreme Rules, I'm not sure if Roman Reigns walks out with the championship, and I think Finn Balor can walk out with the championship, and it's all going to be because of babyface Brock Lesnar costing Roman Reigns the match. Now, the reason why I like this is because WWE has done a really, really good job with Roman Reigns. You got to have some longevity there, and you could keep telling a story there, especially with nobody knowing what's going to happen with The Rock making his return. This is where it gets good, guys. This is where, like, I genuinely enjoyed SmackDown. I truly think what happens is Finn Balor walks out as champion. Roman Reigns loses the match due to Brock Lesnar being a babyface and beating the shit out of Roman Reigns. Now, a lot of times people are like, well, what about Big E? Because he has Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, earlier in the night, Big E actually cut a promo. So if you guys didn't see this, he cut a promo backstage. And he cut a promo in the ring as well. And basically what he was saying was, essentially what he said was, give me 1 second. I'm not sure. Johnny Brewer, thank you for the subscription. Sorry about that, guys. I totally forgot my alerts were on. It kind of scared me. But yeah, so basically Big E's like, he's cutting a promo, and they asked him, they said, like, what about the Money in the Bank? And he said he would go after Lashley. He would go after whoever has whatever he wants. Well, ultimately, during SmackDown, they announced that Randy Orton versus Lashley for the World Championship is happening on Raw this upcoming week. That's going to be the main event. I'm pretty certain that Big E is going to get away from SmackDown. It makes a lot of sense for him to be on Raw with a New Day anyways. But I think what we're going to see is Big E actually cash in on Lashley, which I think is the right idea. 1,000%, I think it's the right idea. And if I'm WWE, I would actually do that. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if Big E goes and cashes in on Lashley, we don't have to put Big E against Roman Reigns just yet. That could be a WrestleMania match at another time, but we don't need to rush that just yet. This also allows WWE to put some investment into the future. Think about it. Big E wins the World Championship on Raw. He's also reunited with the New Day. They end Raw in a feel-good moment. After this promo, I mean, I think Raw will see more viewership because who the hell, like, the fact that he's even teasing the idea of possibly cashing in on Lashley, which hasn't been done before. The fact that it's even a possibility, now it's going to get people excited to see whether it's going to happen on Raw. I think it should. Raw needs the help viewership-wise. Raw needs a change creatively. This would definitely help that. Plus, Big E is going to be a great champion regardless of how WWE books him because Big E is greater than the WWE. Hate me for saying that. I don't really care. I genuinely believe that. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because now you remove Big E from the equation. If you remove Big E from the equation, you have Finn Balor as champion. You have Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar costing each other an opportunity at Finn Balor. Now you have other people that you can start putting against Finn Balor and start building a program with him. Or, better yet, you can have Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar beat each other up in a triple threat match at the next pay-per-view. My point that I'm making is that WWE, by removing Big E out of the equation, allows for WWE to truly build Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar the right way. And the good news is you don't actually need the title on that. So why not, right? Why not get the championship belt off of Reigns? Do it in a way that makes sense, that doesn't hurt Reigns. Now you could even tell better storylines. I mean, I just can't see how WWE doesn't do this. Maybe I'm too smart for my own good. Maybe I don't know. But I think that is something that we need to start paying attention to, because truth be told, if WWE puts Big E on Raw and makes him a champion and he cashes in, nobody sees it coming. It's a great surprise element, and it's a good reminder that you just never know what's going to happen on WWE television. And if Finn Balor beats Roman Reigns, it's a good reason for people to understand that Extreme Rules is not just a pay-per-view where the defending champion retains. I think Finn Balor truly walks out as world champion. I think he'll be Universal Champion. And the best part is, there's so much that could be done, and there's so many matchups I want to see, and there's so much talk about people from NXT being called up. I mean, there's going to be some really, really cool matches if Finn Balor walks out as champion. But we are talking about the WWE, and we know that WWE doesn't always do the right thing when it comes to booking and creative. And I don't want to rant about this, guys, and I don't want to sure as hell ramble about this, but also at the same time, too, we have seen WWE have tons of creative blunders. So just kind of keep that in mind. Ultimately, what a sick match. Like, sick match. This tag team match was something I didn't see coming. Clearly, the Street Profits are great. They should be tag team champions. But I still want to see Montez Ford become a single star. So I don't know, like, if WWE can put this together. When I watched SmackDown, I felt like this was such a different vibe from other WWE programming. So I'm not sure what we really could expect, if that makes sense. So ultimately, though, SmackDown was on fire. What did you guys think of SmackDown? Before we move to Rampage, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the chat. I'm very curious to see what you guys think about SmackDown. Let me know. I want to hear about it. Give me a thumbs up emoji or a thumbs down emoji, and let me know. I know when watching this show, it was better than expected. The real problem is, will WWE continue to do it? Truth be told, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, WWE had one great show. It was probably the best show that they've had all year round, to be honest, as far as that goes. I think SmackDown tonight was one of their better TV shows throughout the year, which is good, you know. By the way, when it comes to SmackDown tonight, John Cena was in the dark match. Dark match with the Mysterios against the Bloodline. So we did get that in the dark match, but it wasn't shown. I'm seeing a little bit of in the chat. It looks like some people are kind of in the mix. Some people give it a thumbs up, some people are giving it a thumbs down. I understand. Look, SmackDown, WWE, they've burned our trust. Fair point. And I want to know if maybe you guys agree with me here. WWE has let us down so much in the past that when they do something good, it's just not that good, because we're just mentally we don't even care. I like wrestling. Now it's my job, right? Like, now this is literally my job to talk about pro wrestling, which is unbelievable to even think. But I just like wrestling, so even if it sucks, I still enjoy it, you know? But tonight's SmackDown, I give it a thumbs up. You know. Who wants to talk about AEW Rampage? Who wants to talk about Rampage? I want to talk about AEW Rampage, because Rampage was sick, man. It was a great show. I think one of the things that I absolutely loved about Rampage, it's 1 hour long. 1 hour long, baby. Like, I know you can't make Raw or SmackDown 1 hour long. I know you can't make Dynamite 1 hour long. But Rampage looks good for a 1 hour show. And we're going to break down Rampage, and there's a little bit more stuff I want to talk about in depth with Rampage. It sounds like not everybody can see the chat. Interesting. I'm sorry about that, guys. Maybe YouTube is having some issues. Yeah, if the chat is having issues, guys, I'm sorry. That just sounds like a YouTube thing. All right. Cool. So, before we talk about Rampage, major night for wrestling overall. Just so you guys know, people are definitely excited about wrestling tonight, which is good. Whether or not you like WWE and hate AEW, or hate AEW, or love AEW and hate WWE, like whatever your feelings are towards both of these companies, it was a good night for fans, that's for sure. Like, it was definitely a good night for wrestling, that's for sure. So now it looks like the chat is working, which is great. Guys, don't forget super chats or donation link in the description down below. If you guys want to help out the channel by any possible means, it's appreciated. I do want to replace this microphone. I do want to, invest into this channel, because now that this is my full-time job, as I continue to make more revenue from Destination PW, I want to take a second to actually be transparent, because I don't feel like I ever have the opportunity to talk about this. There's a difference between a YouTuber asking for donations and stuff like that just so they can go and party and shit like that. What I want to do is whatever I make from Destination PW, now that it's literally my full-time gig, I want to put it back into the channel. So whether that means a new microphone, whether that means new equipment, whatever it may be, eventually the long-term goal is to make Destination PW like a full studio show. Like, that's like a real thing, like round table with guests. I want to be able to bring in pro wrestlers, fly them out to Detroit, and have a studio and bring them in for interviews. Like, I have a big vision for this channel. It's not going to be easy. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because if you guys support the channel, like, that's what we're literally working towards, just so you guys know. And I realize the only way I can actually get there is if I truly commit my time to this. So you guys may notice like more uploads, a little bit more of a serious approach to the content. Now we're doing live streams. So yes, if you guys want to support the channel, super chats or donation link in the description, whatever it is, it's appreciated. And I appreciate that a lot. Or you could become a channel member too, $4.99 a month. So yeah, whatever it may be, yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it right now. Definitely, I wanna be able to produce content, and yeah, I want to produce content on a scale that's just far bigger than you could imagine. So that's what, the donation link is really cool. The super chats are really cool. Whatever it is you guys want to do, it's appreciated. And keep in mind, guys, like, this is not just like a once, we started DPW After Dark after Dynamite. Now we're doing it tonight. I'm starting to get the idea that we're going to do watch-alongs, because I think that would be a little bit more fun, personally. Plus, I want you guys to like be in the Discord server. That's like another thing. Like, join the Discord server, turn on your microphones or your headset or your earphones or whatever, and like join the chat, and we'll all sit on the live stream and watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Rampage, all that good stuff. Yeah, you guys will see. Nonetheless, I don't want to talk about the channel anymore. I want to talk about Rampage, because Rampage was a really, really, really good show. Rampage was 1 hour long, and we got the advertised match between Andrade and Pac. Very interesting. I don't know why either. But essentially, the show kicks off with both of them in the ring. Entrances were not part of the broadcast. I'm not sure why. I'm assuming it's because AEW did some post-production and included Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson in post-production video stuff. So yes, pretty cool stuff. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of DPW originals in here. So Hunt and Knight, Jamie Palmer, Rev Davey Thompson. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by tonight. So Andrade wins this opening match. everybody that knows about Rampage, they knew it was pre-taped. I had friends that were in Cincinnati for Dynamite. They talked about Rampage and they said, Ango, this was a incredible match. They said it was like a really incredible match. And as I was watching this match, if I'm completely honest with you guys, I was watching it and like I was blown away by how good this was. It should have been a pay-per-view. Shout out to Rev Davey Thompson. Oh, $5 super chat. Thank you. I appreciate a YouTuber that loves wrestling but doesn't cuss. Yeah, I try to keep it PG, you know. At the end of the day, my life goal is turning Destination PW into something major, and you got to be PG, man. So, right. Too sweet. Woo. Okay. Thank you again. $5 super chat. You're the best. Yeah, this match should have definitely been on pay-per-view. If you've even given them a little bit more time. And I feel weird for saying this. This was a great match. And it's exactly the right way to open up Rampage. But I think you can do better if you gave them like 40 minutes of time to wrestle on All Out. You know? Just something to consider. I think if you put them on All Out and give them 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Like, these guys are just so good. Anyways, Andrade wins. Basically, he cheats. Low blow, this and that. I mean, look. It's sad. But it had to happen. AEW was in a pickle. You want them to both be really... You want them to both look strong. And I think AEW kind of took a note out of WWE's page. But in this direct situation, Andrade won, Pac lost. But what happens in the post-match, that right there, my friends, is exactly what I loved about Rampage. Andrade turned on Chavo. Like, he was so mad at Chavo, he punches him. Then he gets kicked by the Lucha Bros, who came to the aid of Pac. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that, guys. Vicky Guerrero and Andrade was short-lived. Clearly, AEW realized that, like, they clearly realized that wasn't going to work. Then they put Chavo with Andrade, and I don't think they anticipated Ric Flair being released, and that's why this was done. But now Chavo and Andrade are pretty much done. And we all know that this is bringing in Ric Flair. We all know that this is bringing in Ric Flair. Woo! How cool. See, the thing is, when I was watching this match, and more in particular, like specifically the post-match, you can tell that AEW knows they have something special with Andrade, but they know they didn't necessarily set him up for success right off the rip. That's why they gave him Vicky. That's why they gave him Chavo. We all know when Ric Flair comes out with Andrade, that's when things really, really pick up. And I think the fact that AEW does such a wonderful job, I mean, say what you want, but AEW does such a really good job with the legends, man. Look at what they do with Tully and Sting. Like, I don't know. There's something about Ric Flair joining Andrade. First of all, it's going to feel pretty real because Andrade and Charlotte are getting married. But this was cool, man. For a 1-hour show, I feel like this was just so action-packed. And then most importantly, Andrade. Now Andrade finally feels important. Right? Like, now he finally feels important to the show. It doesn't get better than that. What happens with Chavo going forward makes me even more interested because, truth be told, I really don't know what to expect there. Like, Chavo can go on to be a manager. I mean, he can technically wrestle. He could be like a producer or something for AEW. But, and I think, I see Bravo, I see you, baby. This was the match that he needed to show he was a top guy. You're right. This was the match that Andrade needed to show that he was a top guy. Because I've been saying this, guys. If you watch my channel, you know I've been talking about this. Andrade was an afterthought once Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson came in. He is no longer an afterthought, and he sure as hell won't be an afterthought when you see him with Ric Flair. Let's get a woo in the chat. Yeah, let's definitely get a woo in the chat. I want to see woos. Just spam the chat with woos. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, guys. So nonetheless, Andrade turns on Chavo. Really good segment. Clearly, this is going to open the door for Ric Flair. That's probably going to be a separate video on Destination PW. So if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you are subscribed. Would definitely appreciate that, guys. It's all about the growth, baby. It's all about the growth. I love wrestling. You guys love wrestling. And I'm glad I have the ability to share my opinions with you guys. And most importantly, if you guys are in the Discord, you know that I'm really appreciative of everybody that comes and hangs out, because we're building a community, man. This is what it's all about. And when Andrade turned on Chavo Gurerrero, I said, damn, I got some stuff I could talk about on the stream tonight. So I got excited. Very cool thing that I seen on Twitter too. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, but they're saying maybe even pairing Chavo up with Thunder Rosa or something like that, which I wouldn't be opposed to. I think that could be kind of cool too. Something different. Chavo is definitely going to want some sort of revenge on Andrade. So I don't know how they do it or what they do to get there, but you got guys like Sammy Guevara, who's a singles guy, but can't necessarily have he can't necessarily have the mouth. He needs the mouthpiece. So, Davey Thompson, yes, sir. The Discord is absolutely free. Yes, absolutely. Discord is free. It's no charge. We just do the Discord. We're building a community. We're all chatting. We're all hanging out, talking wrestling. Sometimes it's even more than just talking wrestling, to be honest, but that's kind of what happens when you're building a community filled with great people. So yeah, come and join. Discord's fun, man. I love the Discord personally. Now that I don't actually work a real job, I spend more time in Discord than anything else, so it's pretty sweet. What else did we get? Oh yeah, after Andrade turns on Chavo, we got a Darby and Sting in-ring promo responding to Tully Blanchard. Darby Allin and Sting is such a unique combination, but in this point, basically, they are responding to Tully's comments from Dynamite. Basically, what ends up happening is Sting is distracted by Tully, who's on the ramp. Darby is also distracted, and then we get a situation where Shawn Spears, aka Ty Dillinger, goes out and attacks Darby from behind. Sting's not paying attention because he's so in tune with what Tully is saying, and basically, I think what this is setting up is Tully Blanchard and Shawn Spears versus Sting and Darby, which is totally cool with me. It's not a main focal point of the show, but it's something cool that I think fans will enjoy. I personally love too. There was a thing that Sting was saying something about Tully riding Slick Rick coattails or something like that. I can't remember the exact line. But I did love this, and the reason why I love this specifically here was because let's just go back to history, man. AEW is not afraid to talk about something that didn't happen on their show, and I think that's what makes them so intriguing. Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard have a history. I don't think there was I think it's obvious that Ric Flair is coming. AEW is all about teasing certain things. It's cool. It's cool. I like this segment a lot. Tully Blanchard, I don't know how he's gonna wrestle, but shit, dude, I'm ready to watch this for sure. Darby Allin, I just hope he doesn't get lost in the mix, because I think Darby Allin is such a great singles guy. I don't want him to just be tag teaming with Sting all the time, but you just never know in a situation like this. That's why it's super interesting. Next thing that we get, not the best thing of the night, because I truly think Andrade vs. Pac was great. We had Riho, Ruby, Soho, and Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel. 6-woman tag team match. The babyfaces win. Ruby Soho picks up the pin. It was cool. Like, it worked. I don't really have too much analysis on this match. It's clear what AEW is doing. You know, Ruby Soho, and I mentioned this during the Dynamite show, the Dynamite Live post show, but it's very clear that AEW is in a situation where right now they need to give Ruby Soho wins and losses. She's the number 1 contender. She's the number 1 ranked female, but she's only got a record of like 2-0 now. So it's very clear the booking situation that they're in and the circumstance that they're in with Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho does pick up the win. I don't think Ruby Soho is going to beat Britt Baker for the championship. I don't know if AEW is going to have Britt Baker drop the championship this soon. But you would think with the momentum that they're creating with Ruby, you would think that she's going to, and I just don't know. Maybe she loses. I don't know what happens. Like, there's something that, like, there's something about this situation I wish I knew a little bit better, like, how to understand it, because Ruby Soho is being booked to now win matches, and Britt Baker still looks strong all the time. It's just kind of some interesting stuff. You know what I mean? I wish I had a better understanding, but I really don't know. Ultimately, though, the babyfaces win. I like that the babyfaces have their backs in AEW. This is something I've talked about before. Riho, Statlander, and Ruby Soho. Like, there's really no reason why all 3 of them should be friends, but they're babyfaces. So, using logic, they apply logic, and it makes a lot of sense. So, it's really, really cool. Ruby picks up the win. Clearly, Jamie Hayter is the greatest. I keep saying that. Even though it's all about Britt Baker and Ruby, I think a lot of people are not looking at Jamie Hayter the way they should. I think she is incredible. I think there's a lot of potential with her as a women's champion for AEW. And I don't want to see her eat any pinfalls. I want to see her rise to the top, especially if she's going to be the side chick for Britt Baker. So who knows what they do, but you have so many people in this women's division now. Like, that's the cool thing about AEW. Like, their women's division's getting better. You got Thunder Rosa, you got Ruby, you got Jamie Hayter, you got shit, dude. You can make a really good argument, even like Nyla Rose and Riho and Chris Statlander. Like, they got some cool stuff happening in the women's division. About time. It took them a really long time. Like, the company's been in 2 years, I think. I think the company is going on 3 years soon. So just to put that in perspective, AEW is finally paying attention to the women's division. It's not perfect. I don't really care for a 6-man, 6-woman tag team match like this, but it did its job. It did what it's supposed to do. And again, it's putting over Ruby Soho. I can't see how AEW is going to create this momentum only for them to pretty much fail her. And that's the scary part. But nonetheless, at this point, Rampage is a great show. It's 1 hour show, and then next thing you know, we get Pillman Jr. versus Max Caster in the main event. The Acclaimed are so freaking good, man. As a fan, I try to look at everything from like a different perspective too, being a fan and then also being like a content creator. Max Caster reminds me so much of early John Cena days, and I think that's like a really good comparison. Max Caster, if he stays out of trouble, this dude is going to be like really, really good in the future of AEW. And, you know, one thing about AEW Rampage is like the main event match starts off the show. It kicks off the show, which is why we got Pac versus Andrade right away. But this match was a great match, man. Pillman Jr., like, clearly AEW, again, they're investing in their future. And they're doing a really good job with Bryan Pillman Jr. after last Dynamite. But what I absolutely loved, what was that? Oh, Marcos Bravo. Glad you agreed with me about Cole on Twitter. Thank you, bro. I appreciate the super chat. $2 super chat from Marcos Bravo. Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. And of course, I agree with you, dude. That's like a little, for those who don't know, you guys can find the tweet as well. Or if you want to link in the chat. That was a really good point. And we'll talk a little bit about, there's a reason why I haven't talked about Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole just yet. I'm saving that for last, by the way. But yeah, definitely a good point, my friend. Thank you again for the super chat. So basically what happens is Bryan Pillman Jr. picks up the win, which is great. It's phenomenal. It's exciting to see that happen. But what I absolutely loved here about this match was the post-match, because Jon Moxley came out to aid Bryan Pillman Jr. Both of them are hometown boys from Cincinnati. Max Caster gets his ass beat. But it's really clear that AEW is so invested in their future. I see a lot of people, guys. I see a lot of people. They're talking shit about AEW signing all these WWE guys, and like, I understand why they would be upset about it. But ultimately, as I watch the show and I see them signing big WWE names, like, they're signing WWE people, but also look at their talent that have never really been on TV before. You have Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. You have Darby Allin. You have Ricky Starks. You have all of this great talent. And then you got Brian Pillman Jr., who is now starting to become something. And then through the connection with Brian Pillman Jr., you're now actually getting Griff Garrison, who nobody really knew, but he's awesome, and he's his tag team partner. You know, this is the thing about AEW, and this is why I want to talk about Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson last. Rampage was great. Andrade versus Pac was great. But ultimately, Andrade versus Pac doesn't get me excited about the future of AEW. It gets me excited about right now, like what's happening right now. When I see Brian Pillman Jr. and Max Caster end Rampage, it gets me excited about the future of this company, because then I start to imagine and start to think a little bit more in depth about the future of the company. And when I think about the future of the company, I think they're great. And I think Max Caster, we all know Max Caster kind of landed himself in some trouble. And as a man, like, he's going to have to work on that. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have to fix up his shit. AEW has to be a little bit more hands-on with some of the freestyle raps. But every human being has the ability to learn and get better. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's just like, the content is good. And they have a future. They have young people who may not understand the world and the way it works today. But that's AEW's job, to help train them and teach them and show them the right way. And you got to have a little bit of control. I know you're giving them creative freedom, but you can avoid the issue that you had with Max Caster by simply having a little bit more control over the situation. But nonetheless, Max Caster, Darby, Ricky Starks, Griff Garrison, Brian Pillman Jr., I mean, like, the best part is Rampage is doing a great job of incorporating former WWE talent, because obviously they're trying to get the ratings. But most of the show is putting over the younger talent. So good on them. Definitely good on AEW for that, by the way. Like, that's, yeah, their strategy works. It's, put it this way, guys, Rampage was great. It's not going to do 1 million viewers. It'll probably do 600,000-700,000. If it does any less, I won't be shocked either. But I don't care about the ratings for Rampage. I care about having a product, because, again, the pro wrestling fan in me versus the content creator side of me, like, I'm all in on the product. So it's cool. I get to watch it. I get to talk about it. It's just like some really cool things. And that's why I love Rampage, man. Again, it's just the flow. It's a 1 hour show, but nonetheless, that was technically the main event. That's what they ended the show on. But I want to revert back to something that I found to be really, really entertaining tonight, and that was Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. Because here's the thing. Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole in WWE were great. They were. You take the cuffs off, you allow them to do some really, really cool shit in AEW. And I think that's why AEW is such a great company to work for, because they are getting a little bit of creative freedom. But you can just tell, like, Daniel Bryan, he said it directly, like, hey, I'm not, there's certain members of the elite, blah, blah, blah. I'm here for Kenny. I hear he's the best. I want to see if he's the best. Give me Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. To hell with the wins and losses. I don't give a crap. As a pro wrestling fan, I want that match. As a content creator, I want that match. If I was a casual fan who was flipping the channels and I saw Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson and didn't know who they were, I'm pretty sure that's the match that's going to get them invested in AEW. Or invested in wrestling in general. Their promo ability was just so good. It was so phenomenal. So good. Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson. I find it to be interesting that AEW is kind of they're kind of throwing them on TV around the same time, you know? But if you're AEW, you should be doing that. These guys are going to draw. They're going to bring in ratings. They're going to bring attention. They're going to have great wrestling matches. Everybody wants to know what's happening. Hangman Page will eventually come back and get his title shot. AEW has had such nice longevity with the Hangman Page storyline that when he eventually comes back, he's going to get that championship match. I don't think Kenny versus Bryan is going to have the title. In fact, I think Kenny's going to use his executive powers to basically say, hey, Bryan, if you want the match with me, you got to get wins and losses. And then we'll start seeing Bryan Danielson show up on Dynamite and Rampage and have a couple matches here and there. And then I think we get to the point where Bryan Danielson, after Hangman Page defeats Kenny Omega for the belt, which I expect to happen at Full Gear. After that happens, I think because the championship's not even involved, Bryan Danielson's pretty much padded his record, has a big record, a lot of wins, very little losses. I think at that point, then you'll see a lot of cool stuff, man. I see the future is very bright for Bryan Danielson in AEW. And the best part is he did this all because he wanted the health of the wrestling industry to be so much better. It's just something to consider, guys. It's just some really cool stuff. And ultimately, that's why I love AEW Rampage, because it's their secondary show. It's a 1 hour long show, but look at how great they are producing a 1 hour show. People that you shouldn't care about, we care about. And ultimately, as a fan, I mean, what more can you ask for when you're watching AEW? You don't know who Max Caster is, but now you know. And the best part is, you might not have actually tuned into Rampage for Max Caster. You might have tuned in for Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson. But the promo ability for both of them, it's just so logical. The things that they're saying. I think one of the things that, like, you know, Adam Cole talks about the Elite. Shout out to HMX Creation for subscribing, by the way. I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, when Adam Cole talks about the Elite, he never references the Good Brothers. He never references Good Brothers. Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, when he cuts his promo, the way he talks about the Elite, his focus is mainly Kenny Omega. That might bite him in the ass. But there's something about Adam Cole not mentioning the Good Brothers that intrigues me. And I'm not sure what that may actually be. Like, what's the play? Me and Bravo were talking, and to me, it almost sounds like the play here is a storyline within the storyline. And, you know, maybe this is a controversial take. This might be a controversial take. Sorry. But what if the Elite breaks up? What if the Elite turns into two different groups? We all remember the NWO. Multiple different versions of the NWO. It wouldn't be the first time to see it happen. I don't know. There's something intriguing there. Adam Cole and... who knows, man? Like, maybe Adam Cole's not acknowledging the Good Brothers, but maybe Adam Cole and the Good Brothers take on Kenny and the Young Bucks. Like, something to me about that storyline. Like, I can't really predict it, but I know that splitting up the group could be really cool in the long run. I mean, look at the Bullet Club. It's really no different when you look at the Bullet Club and you really think about the Bullet Club, and now it's Tama Tonga and Tongaloa and Hikuleo, and now you got Chris Bay from Impact, who's also in Bullet Club. Like, you got a whole bunch of stuff happening. Like, I guess I'm just trying to figure out how to do it, but I think you can do it here, and maybe that's what it is. But there's got to be some sort of significance. See, that's the cool thing about AEW as well. A lot of people don't talk about it, but a lot of the small details in the show, they have You almost kind of ignore them, and then you go back and it makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure. It doesn't make sense to me. But it's not something I haven't noticed. By the way, I know we're not talking about Dynamite, we're talking about Rampage, but CM Punk walks out the heel tunnel. It's like a small detail like that. Like, it's foreshadowing something. Eventually, right now, the CM Punk that we're seeing on TV is Phil Brooks. But we all know that we want heel CM Punk. It's going to happen. And whatever's happening with Bryan Danielson, yeah, I'm glad to be here. You know, I just want to fight. I just want to kick your head in. It's all leading to something. And I think Adam Cole and what he's doing is also leading to something. But Adam Cole is just such a great heel, and his promo work is really good. And I give a lot of props to AEW for being able to pull this off. Do you think Mox will continue to fight New Japan guys? Absolutely. It's a New Japan versus Jon Moxley thing. I think we do get Tanahashi, and I think we get Okada. I think we get Okada at some point. I don't know when. I think we get Okada. It depends on COVID. I mean, that's something that we got to keep in mind. I think it depends on COVID. We know that Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer, you know, we know that they're going to be tag teaming against Moxley and Kingston. I think that's the next move. And then after that, it doesn't really matter, right? You could bring in Tanahashi. You could bring in anybody from New Japan. And the thing is, I really, really, really want to get more well-versed in New Japan because I do watch it. You know? But I do watch enough to know what's going on. And I think Jon Moxley versus New Japan guys is great. It just depends on COVID. The whole world is changing every single day with COVID. I know in Michigan the cases are continuing to rise. And I'm not talking about it to get political here. But what I'm talking about is the nature of the beast, right? Like, there is a pandemic still. And for people who are comfortable being outside of their home and all this stuff, like, that's fine. But there are still a lot of people out there who aren't comfortable. And, of course, with international travel, that's something that people got to keep in mind, too, is, like, they can come to the United States today, and then there could be restrictions that are put on them tomorrow. You know? And that's the tough part about being in a pandemic. Jacob Fatu is not coming to AEW, though. I just seen that in the chat. I can't see who wrote it. I'm looking at my screen and I can't see. But whoever wrote it, there's, from what I've read and from what I've been told from other people, he's got some sort of history that would prevent him from being signed by WWE and AEW. So I'm not sure what that means, to be honest. What a night, man. Pro wrestling's just been so good. We've been spoiled since Wednesday. Wednesday Night Dynamite, Smackdown, AEW Rampage. Doesn't get any better than that, guys. Just some really cool stuff. But yeah, guys, overall, thumbs up, thumbs down on AEW Rampage. What'd you guys think? Let me know. I want to see it in the chat. What's my take on buying Disney? It's not true. It's not true at all. Tons of thumbs up. That's what I like to see. Yeah, Rampage was good, man. I mean, I'll tell you guys right now, in my community tab, I just pulled it up, over almost 300 votes. People voted thumbs down for SmackDown, which is kind of shocking, to be honest. But no, Rampage was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I loved it, actually. Rampage was good. SmackDown was good. Again, it was a good night to be a fan. Still kind of surreal that this is my job. Pretty sick. But yeah, if you guys want to help out the channel, don't forget there's the donation link in the description or the super chats. Like I said, I'm looking to replace my microphone, and I am looking to invest in the channel, man. And your guys' support helps a lot. So if you guys did want to donate, or you guys want to buy something off the Amazon wish list or whatever it may be, you guys want to help the channel, just know that 100% of the funds go back into the channel. So it's not going to buy me beers at a bar, anything like that. Just keep that in mind. Marcos Bravo, right? And we had another one that was on there. Taking a look. I'm trying to... Oh, and Davey Thompson. Yeah, both of you. Shout out to both of you for your guys' super chats. That was greatly appreciated, by the way. So, what a night. What a night. Good wrestling night indeed. I will be back. I think we're going to do a watch-along. I think we'll do a watch-along for Raw. It's going to be a miserable 3 hours, so we all might as well be miserable together, right? All right, cool. So yeah, I'll see you guys Monday. Well, at least on the live stream. What a day. I'll see you guys Monday on the live stream. Probably gonna do a watch along. If not a watch along, it'll definitely be a post show. But either way, DPW After Dark episode 2 is officially concluded. Thank you guys again for stopping by, and as time goes on, hopefully we get more viewership. I know today's videos did exceptionally well on the channel, and we gained like 80 to 90 subscribers. So we're getting even closer to 30,000 every single day. So if you guys can share my channel with your friends, the more subscriptions, the better. Again, all the revenue that's being made from these live streams, the donations, the super chats, all the revenue that's being made from the channel too, like they are essentially going back into the channel. I want to do a studio show. I want to do a lot of cool stuff. It's all gonna happen if we, you know, grow the channel. So a lot of cool things happening on DPW. Got some big news videos this weekend too, so don't be afraid to check out the channel, regardless if YouTube is notifying you. By the way, sometimes YouTube doesn't notify you. Sometimes they just don't push it out. Not a big deal. Just check out the channel. Use it as your daily reminder. Newsletter, Discord. If you're not in the Discord server, you are lame. Lame. No, I'm just kidding. You're not lame. Not at all. But you should be there, because that's where all the pro wrestling fans are at. It's the DPW family, baby. So, with that being said, guys, just a little bit over an hour. Thumbs up for SmackDown and Rampage. If I had to pick the better show, to be honest with you, I can't pick. They were both really, really good. So you guys can decide for yourself. Otherwise, thank you guys for all showing up to the stream and chatting with everybody. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful night.